All right, guys, welcome in. It is Tuesday. It's time for Total Bases. I need to throw a rally cap on Tokyo Brandon because things are not going good for me, and then I got a KBO win. So I'm all ready to go, all jazzed up. It's Tuesday. We got 15 games. They're all at night, and we're going to get right into it. Bryan, Leonard, we have a nationally televised game tonight here in the States. It's a big matchup in the National League Central. Last night, it was a good game back and forth. And, are you getting at all concerned for the Chicago Cubs right now, or is this still a team that is going to get it right? Because I think we're going on a month now, and I gotta credit one of our users. It's a ridiculous term. It's not even what I was trying to say. One of our members in the chat about 5 weeks ago. I forget who it is. If you're here right now, let us know because I want to shout you out. Pointed out some reasons, and I think even gave us some analysis in the comments of why the Cubs might start to trend downward. And that is kind of exactly what's happened. Probably going back 4 or 5 weeks. Last night they come out and lose to the Reds. So how are you seeing the Cubs right now? And what do you think about this one, Reds-Cubs tonight?
Well, as we have seen, it's a long season. You have lots of ups and downs as the year goes on. If you take a look at run differential, they're still second in baseball in run differential, plus 114. Let me point out that they've been surpassed not only in the division by the Milwaukee Brewers with a three-game advantage. The Brewers are now at plus 121. They're now not only the best team from win percentage, they're the best team from run differential. This Milwaukee team is built differently than what we see now. They remind me a lot of teams that we grew up on, Kansas City Royals, St. Louis Cardinals, teams that run. You get a guy on base and they can move it. And the Cubs have some guys who can steal. They just don't do it as often. Both these teams are going to be in the playoffs, and I think they're both going to be dangerous. I'm not giving up on the Cubs. It's a long season. Getting back to the Reds game that we're going to talk about today, the Reds are sitting here now 9.5 back of the Brewers. They got a 522 winning percentage now, and they have not been hitting very well, and yet they continue to play pretty well as a team. If you look at their StatCast page, and it does have the hitters as well as the pitchers, and I seem to stick with the pitchers most of the time when I'm on the show, but Elly De La Cruz is really the only guy that is having a consistently good season. Austin Hayes has slumped a little bit. He was good before. Tyler Stevenson coming back this year has not been as good as he's been in the past. As some of their other guys that they were leaning on earlier in the season have not hit as well. Matt McLain's starting to come out of his slump a little bit, but his numbers on the season are not very good. But when you take a look at the Cubs hitters, Suzuki's been terrific all season long. Bush, Tucker, even though Tucker is not performing like he did earlier in the season, he's still a great player. Dansby Swanson's having a nice bounce back season. So they've got a lot more hitting choices on this team than the Reds do, and that's something you have to take into account here. The two pitchers, Zach Littell making his first start coming over from Tampa, and I retweeted yesterday. There was somebody that put it all together on the internet. I do a lot of retweeting of articles and things that are very good on YouTube, or excuse me, on the internet. And Zach Littell is making his first start here. There was like 4 or 5 pitchers that made their first starts yesterday at the new ball clubs. They all got bombed. I'm usually of the feeling that these guys, especially if you're coming over from a team that's not in contention, this is like a wake-up call. This team wants you. And usually I like to bet on those teams. Thank God I didn't yesterday. I had a losing day anyway. My 5% was the Cleveland team total under. They get shut out 8 of the 9 innings, and they still reach scoring 5 runs in the 6th. Ugly loss there. But, yeah, Littell coming over. His best stuff is his walk rate, 99th percentile, chase rate, 84th. He's got a 3.58 ERA, 4.62 expected, 1.12 whip. Now coming over and pitching for the Reds I would expect his numbers to decline a little bit. If you look at his blue, which is not good, his barrel rate 10th percentile, strikeout rate 12th, whip 14th, average exit velocity 15th. This is not the best stadium for him, although for some reason, some of the, a couple of these Abbott and a few others have had success in here being fly ball pitchers. We'll see how it goes. Maybe they've got some magic pills they're taking over there in Cincinnati. Imanaga going for the Cubs. He's had an up and down second half to the season. 3.25 ERA, 3.87 expected. So both of these pitchers are pitching over their heads right now. His whip is 1.04. Ground ball rate, third percentile in Chicago. When the wind's blowing out, he's in trouble. And when we're looking at the park factors for today in Wrigley Field, the wind is blowing in. So that's a good thing for him. Probably a good thing also for his counterpart on the mound here. The line currently in this one with Tampa Bay. I'm still thinking of his old team. For Cincinnati playing the Cubs, we've got Imanaga about a 175 favorite, 7.5 here. Anytime you see a 7.5 in a Cubs game, that tells you the wind is blowing in here. I prefer the offenses a little bit more. I think both these pitchers, as I pointed out, have been a little bit lucky so far this season. I prefer the over a little bit. 7.5 is not that hard to get there, but without the home runs. And just according to the park factors, the home runs for Wrigley Field tonight will be minus 23% of what they normally have. So the home runs may not get there tonight, but the runs are only minus 10%. And if you're getting a 7.5, that's pretty good. So I kind of lead with the over between these two teams.
So yesterday I cashed my 5% and my 4%. So I was pretty happy. It was a kind of a big day. And I just went 2-1 in KBO as well. So rolling pretty well after a disastrous week last week. So it's good. Today's $5 Tuesday, everyone. I already have my play up. I'm sure these two guys are going to or already have a play up. Go to our pages, see what we got for $5 today. I'm not going to play this game, so I'll make it very short. But neither one of these teams is ripping the cover off the ball here. And I don't really trust either bullpen. Neither pitcher is either pitching that great, but what I do like is Littell's numbers against these Cubs in his career: 211 average against, 697 OPS against, very good numbers. And he's actually a pretty good road pitcher. Since he just got traded, every game's going to be on the road for him, even in Cincinnati, because he's not used to it. Imanaga has great numbers against these batters as well: 235 against average and a 572 OPS. Imanaga's numbers are actually a little bit better. So I guess first 5 under, I'm going to go directly against what Bryan said. first 5 under, but 3.5. Look, I'm looking at Pinnacle and there's no first 5 under yet. So I'm guessing this is going to be 3.5 since the game total 7.5. 3.5 is so hard to bet. So I'm probably not going to bet it in Major League. You know, a couple of walks and a bloop and a blast and boom, your under is done. So I won't play it, but if I were to, that would be the way I would go.
Is that Rod Peru? He shouts you out, TB. He says great wins on your 5 and 4% plays. And
Rod Peru?
I know, it's a good name. That's a good name. If that's a play on Rod
one
Peru,
of the best hitters of all time.
Fantastic name. But he shouts you out for the 5% and the 4% win. I've got some concerns with the Cubs right now. Just like the body language is horrible. If you watch that game, I don't know what Kyle Tucker's deal is. I feel like he's just like soft, like not mentally tough at this point. And then you've got, of course, they go out and trade, and now Mike Soroka's headed to the IL, where he's spent the majority of his career. I actually feel horrible for him. That just sucks for him because he's finally gotten, kind of gotten back. He's having a good season, and back to the IL he goes. So they're going to have to figure out what to do about that rotation spot. At this price, the way things are sort of going for the Cubs at the moment, there's no chance I could play the Cubs here. Now, Bryan makes a good point. I got caught on one of those last night. I had the Rays with Adrian Hauser. Awful. And he's right. Like that's a concern. It's definitely happened so far. These guys, the pitchers that are getting to their new destination have not been very good. So again, I do have some concerns with the Cubs. You pull up the standings, they're still tied with the Dodgers for the second best record in the league. But I've got to go back 5 weeks. There was a time where I said the Cubs are going to run away with this division. Now they're 3 back of the Brewers, and they're the clear second team at this point. If you've watched the Brewers play and you've watched the Cubs play, I mean, it's like not close. The Brewers appear to be the far better team. So yeah, I have some concerns with this Cubs team, and there's no chance I can lay a price like that. So it would be Reds or pass. Bryan said he retweets some stuff. I don't retweet often. I tweet a lot. I don't just retweet stuff often, but I did have to retweet Max Fried firing the ball in the center field last night because why not? I mean, it just continues to get bad for the Yankees. They take a lead into the 9th, Bryan Leonard, and then Devin Williams comes in, gives the game up, and Josh Jung's bat flip hasn't landed yet. 3-run homer. He threw the bat basically off the roof of the stadium. It was awesome, and it's been a tough weekend for the Yankees. They get their guy back tonight, supposedly Aaron Judge, back in the lineup
today.
Yeah. But who wants any part of this Yankees team right now, even with Judge? What do you think, Bryan?
Current line in this one, Yankees of Texas. We got Will Warren, who's up and down more than just about anybody in baseball, going against Nathan Eovaldi, who has been the most consistent pitcher in the major leagues. You know what you're going to get out of Texas. You don't know what you're going to get out of the Yankees here. Eovaldi's about a 123 favorite, total of 8 to the over or 8.5 to the under here. I've talked about Texas being a really good pitcher's ballpark. I think Eovaldi will continue to have some success there. But when you take a look at the way these teams have gone so far, the Yankees are definitely needing that boost of getting him back. And normally it takes some time when you come back from sitting out. So I wouldn't expect him to, hit a homer or anything like that tonight. It's going to take a little bit for him to get back in the groove. Will Warren, I've talked about his inconsistencies. 4.64 ERA, 4.09 expected, 1.43 whip. If you take a look at his game logs, his last 2 have been pretty good. He faced the Phillies and the Rays. Before that, he got bombed by the Braves. A couple good ones before that. Then he'd gotten bombed by Toronto. He's a walking time bomb. There's some guys I follow on podcasts and stuff that are in the fantasy world. They call him a cherry bomb because he could be really good. All of a sudden, he just blows up, and that's what he's done. His off-speed run value for Will Warren is in the 1st percentile, breaking ball run value in the 9th, average exit velocity 15th, chase rate 13th, walks too many people in the 18th, hard hit 22nd. He's not a guy I'm looking to back. It's just something that you want more consistency than what he has gotten. He's had 2 seasons now. He's got a 5.60 ERA, 1.51 whip. I don't care who you play for. And even if you're playing for Colorado, those are not good numbers. So I want no part of Will Warren. Eovaldi, as I said, the most consistent pitcher in baseball. 1.49 ERA. Obviously, his expected ERA is going to be higher, 3.26. He's not going to end the year with a 1.49 ERA, but the last 2 years he was 3.8, 3.63, and the way this stadium has been, the results this year, he could keep it around the 2.5 range at the end of the season, and that's excellent. All his numbers are great. Pitching run value 99th percentile, fastball run value 94th, breaking run value 92nd, off speed 98th. He's good at basically everything he does. He doesn't overthrow the 4-seamer, and his fastball is 94% or 94 miles an hour, and which is about a mile an hour worse than Major League Baseball. But he only throws it 28% of the time. He's basically a 4-pitch pitcher, and he's had a lot of success. I would look for more of that here. The Yankees are not a team I'm looking to back. Texas needs this win just as bad, if not more, than the Yankees do. Texas is trying to fight their way past the Yankees here in that wild card race. This is a huge series for Texas after struggling against Seattle. They need to really come out and win the series against the Yankees. I like Texas here. And I think there's value here. Anything in the 123 or under range, I think you've got some nice value here on Texas.
Yeah, Will Warren might have the biggest dichotomy in splits home road away. He's 2.88. He's got a 2.88 ERA at home and a 7.20 ERA on the road. So he has absolutely stunk on the road. The problem is against these Texas batters in his career, he's only got 22 at bats against, but he did pretty well holding them to 227 and a 534 OPS. So kind of torn on this one. Like Bryan said, Eovaldi, he's good no matter what. I actually wasn't a huge Eovaldi fan when he pitched for Boston and in the past, but this year, I don't know, test that guy. Something's going on, man. He's just a different guy this year. But yeah, that being said, I don't know which Will Warren's going to show up. Is it going to be the road Will Warren or the guy who's good against these batters, Will Warren? Sample size against these batters is not real large. So I would think the horrible road Will Warren will show up here, but I'm not going to test that. I'm going to go with what I know. And I know Eovaldi is good. I know Eovaldi has good stats against these Yankees. And Texas's bullpen is playing pretty well. So I think the Yankees team total under, I think it's 4.5. If it's 4.5, I'll jump all over it. If it's 3.5, I'll think about it. But that would be the way I would lean in this one.
3.5 to the over, minus 130.
I'll have to think about it.
If you told me Will Warren was going to be starting games for the Yankees in August, I would have said, oh, at the beginning of the season, I would have said, wow, he must have had a breakout year. That, you know, he must be just dealing, and he must have forced his way into that rotation, because last year he got called up and he got crushed. And I felt like he was a guy that'd be at Scranton for most of the year, and he would have to pitch his way into the rotation. Well, that didn't happen because the Yankees had numerous injuries to their rotation. And, you know, here we are in August, and the Yankees are supposedly a playoff team, even though the three of us don't really think they're necessarily a playoff team. And Will Warren is still starting games every fifth day. 4.64 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. It hasn't been terrible, but it's also like, you know, not like, I still think the Yankees get positioned at this as this elite team, or as like one of the elite teams, and yet that's what they're throwing out there every fifth day. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, and I was anti like a lot of Yankee fans and a lot of just people in general, it really dislike Aaron Boone. And I was never on that. I never liked that sort of narrative, because I do think that, you know, the players like him, and I think he brings other things to the table there. But at some point, like the lack of like baseball IQ and just mistake, like someone needs to fall on the sword for that. And it's probably got to be the coach. Like, here, I'll just make a point. Last year to this year, the Yankees did a lot of this same stuff last year. Base running mistakes, errors, stuff like that. But they made it to the World Series, and it didn't come back to bite them as much, because they were a better team. Last year's Yankees team was just better than this year's Yankees team. Juan Soto, they more timely hitting, a little bit more bullpen, like in terms of like the numbers were better. So they had a better team last year, and they were able to overcome the mistakes. The team isn't as good this year. They've been without Aaron Judge for about 2 weeks now. Listen, it's Major League Baseball. It's very difficult to overcome getting picked off, for Jazz Chisholm getting picked off first base, just sleeping. Austin Wells forgetting that there's 3 outs in an inning. Max Fried firing a ball in the center field in a spot where he probably didn't even really need to do that at that point in the game. Just bear down and get the out. Like, what are we doing here? So that's the type of stuff where, like, they don't have the roster to overcome that this year. You can't make 2-3 errors a game, in my opinion, with this Yankees team and overcome that. So for that reason, I'm just going to continue to play against the Yankees until further notice. It would have to be Rangers or pass here. And with how consistently good Eovaldi's been, and now that the Rangers have a little momentum, this might be the leg I throw in the parlay. I'll think about it as the show goes on. Ethan says, so glad I passed on my leans of the Giants and Yankees yesterday. Hey, sometimes leaving one off is as good as a win in the long run. If you can
Amen.
avoid a loss, it is as good as a win. So Rangers are passed for me in that one, and we'll circle back. We have a comment here. Trig sporting the chickens. That's not a chicken. I guess it could be a type of chicken. Anyone know what that is? It's a good guess. It's not Louisville, but it's a good guess. Brian Leonard, do you have the team?
No, I don't.
That is the
Hens,
Rochester.
mud hens.
No.
Close. It's the Rochester Red Wings. So I don't know what a Red Wing is. Is that a chicken or is it just
I'm assuming it's a cardinal, right?
It's a Detroit hockey player.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, Rochester Red Wings, AAA affiliate of the Washington Nationals. Great little ballpark. About 90 minutes from where, about hour and 45 minutes from where I live. It's
cooler hat than the
actual
field. Nationals hats.
I don't own a Nationals hat. That's a ballpark I've never been to. I'll have to get down to DC sometime.
They are boring.
All right, Turnbuckle Tommy. Astros was free last night. You can't take the Marlins as a favorite. Astros at 115 was nuts. They are a significantly better team. So I agree. I agree with some of that. I disagree with some of that. Significantly better team. I disagree. That I'll disagree. I don't think they are significantly better. Now, if you want to say, like, based on full body of work this year that they're better than the Marlins, I can live with that. However, I do think it was Turnbuckle Tommy yesterday that was basically like, you can't bet the Marlins at that price. And in hindsight, I kind of agree with that a little bit, like where the market ended up on that game. I think the Marlins got all the way up to $1.30 favorite at one point, Brian Leonard. And lo and behold, like you kind of just knew it was coming. And then early in the game, it was very apparent that the juice had run out a little bit for the Marlins, and the Astros got a much needed win. But today is a new day. This one's interesting. Arrighetti is back, and Cal Quantrill has looked better than he's supposed to look recently. Do you see Astros getting some momentum here, or do you like the Marlins in this one?
Yeah. Yesterday, if you tuned in for the first time and you saw what I was leaning towards or whatever, I could have gone over the entire day. I talked about Baltimore. Baltimore took that 3-0 lead. I thought, I'm feeling pretty good. And then all of a sudden they give up 10, 11 straight runs, 14 straight runs, something crazy. Nothing I touched yesterday worked. So I apologize for that. You have those kind of days every once in a while. But Houston on the road against Miami. I had Miami yesterday. I used them in my parlay, and I gave them out as a smaller play for clients and my free play. Houston is basically about a 110, 115 favorite. According to our line service, oddslogic.com, an excellent line service, they don't have Houston starting pitcher listed going against Quantrill. Total on this is 8. Have you heard anything else as to Houston and who they're starting?
Adam, you're muted.
I thought it might be Spencer Arrighetti, who's been rehabbing. I think it's like his turn. So that was one I had jotted down. But I actually, if it's not him, then I'm not really quite sure who they're going to go with. Yeah,
I like Arrighetti, but I don't know if it's going to be his start or not. I talked about Quantrill on the road. Yes, on the road.
Sorry, can I jump in real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the beat writers tweeted, Arrighetti's been pushed back to Wednesday, so it looks like a true bullpen game for the Astros today.
Well, then the first thing we need to check out is the Astros bullpen availability, and you can do that over at Fangraphs Roster Resource. Great website here. Okay, the Astros, when you take a look at their bullpen, they look in pretty good shape. Yesterday, Abreu, 17 pitches, King, 26 pitches. Hector Neris, who has been a nice pickup for them, 16 pitches. So they're in pretty good shape here. They've got nobody that's pitched 2 games in a row here or pitched 2 out of 3. So they're in pretty good shape here from a bullpen standpoint. And they have a pretty decent bullpen. We'll see how that goes for them. When I take a look at the StatCast numbers here, I've talked about Cal Cal Quantrill, 4.79 ERA, 4.80 expected, 1.31 WHIP. He's doesn't walk many batters, 77th percentile in that regard, 6.4 walks. Not a big strikeout guy, although it is higher than it's been since 2021. So he's getting a little bit more strikeouts, but he's not a strikeout guy. He's going to try to keep you a little bit off balance. Throws 6 different pitches, 8% or higher, nothing more than 22%, which is his cutter. So he's a guy I find value in. Guys that aren't major strikeout pitchers, I think a lot of people give up on him. And he's a guy I like. He was very good as of late. But it was pointed out that Houston coming back, and Lions basically a pick 'em right now. And with that number, I kind of like Miami a little bit here. Probably won't get involved. Not enough for Quantrill to shut out Houston's offense. So I'll probably pass here until we actually find out what's going on. If it's a bullpen game, I would expect the Miami side to take some money. So if you like Miami and you think it's going to be a bullpen game right now, at Pinnacle, you can get plus 101 for the home team. So that's not bad.
$5 Tuesday, guys. Get our best bets for $5. All of us will probably have one. Mine's out already. And along with our $5 plays, all 3 of us usually put out a free play as well. So go check our page. It's scrolling down there at the bottom. Take 10 seconds and see what we got. At least swoop up our free plays there. So without a starter listed for the Astros, I'm going to find it hard to bet this game, but I will share my rankings. Cal Quantrill gets a really bad rap, but his numbers are not as bad as his reputation. And his numbers against the Astros are not horrible. They're not good. They're not horrible in his career. 289 average against. It's pretty bad. 797 OPS. So anything over 750 is not good. And he ranks in the bottom 1/3 of pitchers. So the problem is the Astros are not really tearing the cover off the ball right now. I got them ranked 19 in batting. I got Miami ranked better at hitting, better in the bullpen, but they're starting a very questionable pitcher. So I would definitely not play a side here. One interesting thing is Cal Quantrill, he doesn't strike people out. He's a very low strikeout guy. In his career against this team, he's averaging only 2.3 strikeouts per start against the Astros, and I project him at 3.7 today. So maybe if his strikeout prop, if you're lucky enough to get a 4.5, bet the under in strikeouts for Cal Quantrill. If it's 3.5, that's exactly what I'm projecting it. So I'd lay off. That would be the only way I would go here.
I do want to point out in his last 14 starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less in 13 of the 14. So
yeah,
he's
that's what
been
I mean.
Pretty consistent. He got rigged pretty well early in the season, but now he's pitching much better. So I think you need to take those year-to-date numbers a little bit with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
and also,
like I said, he's not as bad as his reputation.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you do know who's starting for the Astros. You know, it's just a bullpen game. They pretty much announced that. So it's really just, do you like the Astros collection of depth arms in their bullpen? That's how you evaluate the Astros pitching here. I am kind of indifferent on that. I think they could potentially piece it together, but it's definitely something that I'm not really scared to play against. Now, you talked about Quantrill. One of the things I talked about after his last start, I mean, he was throwing 97. That was really impressive. I'm willing to trust what the Marlins are doing with their pitching at all levels at this point. And you got Cal Quantrill coming out throwing 90. I think he touched 97, 98 on the gun in his last start. Before that, he was very solid. I believe he beat the Brewers on the road. So he's looked pretty good. I guess I'm a little bit concerned that I step in and then he maybe regresses a little bit because we know, he's had stretches where he's not great. But I think the bigger concern here for me is the Marlins had played so well last week. They lost. And with these younger teams, sometimes one loss becomes two, becomes three, so on and so forth. So my decision was made easy here. I thought this might be Arrighetti, and he was someone that I didn't think threw the ball particularly well down at Sugarland. Granted, he went up against a very good Tacoma lineup last week, but they were all over him. I was certain that they would have had him start one more game down at Sugarland. It looks like that's not going to be the case. So most likely going to be a spectator here, and I'll see if I can find a way in tomorrow, because again, I think if the Marlins had a little bit of momentum tonight, tomorrow might be the day to play them. Arrighetti did not look good in his most recent rehab start. All right, let's move on. We have Ethan Bainbridge says, White Sox plus 1.5, a day off with short travel for the Sox. Mariners off 3 straight divisional series in a very tight division race. Took 3 of 4 in the most recent series for Texas. Momentum stopper with the day off. Yeah, not only did they take 3 of 4 from Texas, Ethan, but they easily could have lost 3 of 4. That was a very, very competitive series, and it was one of those ones where the Mariners just got the breaks. I believe on Sunday, I think, Bryan, they won 2 challenges in the 9th inning to hold off a 5-4 win. So game of inches, as we always talk about, the Mariners, you make your own luck to an extent, but the Mariners got the breaks this weekend. And so maybe they are a little bit inflated here. White Sox, a team we've liked, team that's played better. How are you seeing this one? Do you agree with Ethan's assessment of White Sox plus 1.5?
Well, if you're going to take 1.5, you want to do so in a low total game, and that's what you're getting here. You're getting 7.5 under 20 between the White Sox and Seattle. They got Martin going against Wu. Wu's about 245, 250 range here, which is a little bit higher than I want to pay because the White Sox offense is playing a lot better than it was earlier in the season. They finally got an actual major league lineup. So to catch them, you can catch upwards of 220 coming back that way. That would be the only way I would look here. Bryan Wu is a pitcher I really love, but lately he's had some up and down games. Last time out, he gave up 5 earned runs and 6 1/3 against the Athletics. Before that, against the Angels, he was pretty good, but he got hit pretty well against the Astros, 4 earned runs and 6 innings. So he's not on his best behavior as of now, but 3.11 ERA coming on the heels of a 2.89 last year. This is a guy that could pitch, and I love him, but barrel rate 27th percentile, breaking ball run value 12th. He can be hit. Still throws that 4-seamer too much, if you ask me, 45% of the time. It is a little bit stronger than league average, but when you throw those fastballs, anybody can hit them, even a team like the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin going for the White Sox. His ERA is now down below 4 on the season, 3.84, but his expected ERA is 5.33. He's been a little bit lucky, 1.26 whip. If you look at his StatCast page, he's a great ground ball pitcher, 80th percentile. Doesn't walk a lot of players, 71st percentile, but everything else is in the blue. Breaking run value, 6th percentile, expected ERA 8th, batting average 4th, hard hit rate 11th, strikeout rate 12th. In fact, his strikeout minus walk rate is less than 10, 9.7. He's not as good as what he has shown from that ERA that he has right now. So I would expect Seattle to have a little bit of success against him. You would expect Wu to bounce back a little bit, but he's not coming in off of a good run. 1.5 here for the White Sox would be a value if I thought Martin could keep Seattle to 4 runs. If it gets to 5, that means the White Sox need to score 4 runs to get the cover. I don't know if they will here. So I lean Chicago with that 1.5, but not enough to make it a play.
So I looked at Davis Martin's stats against these Seattle batters, and he's got 28 at-bats against, 143 average against, and a 450 OPS. That's 300 points less than the Mendoza line for good or bad. So he has absolutely dominated these Seattle batters. Now, is the sample size big enough to trust it is the next question. And also, Is his 4.7 road ERA going to trump those numbers? Yes or no? So it's a little bit of a conundrum there. So I'm probably going to stay away from it. But Seattle's bats have been a little bit cold. That's something to consider. Chicago has been actually hitting the ball quite well, considering they're a very bad team. They have been hitting the ball well, and Wu has really good numbers against them, but his sample size is really small. So despite giving up, 4, 2, 5 earned in his last 3 starts, something like that, his whip is still 0.97, which is pretty amazing. And his home ERA is 2.29, which is really good, although ERA is not the tell-all statistic. But in 40 plus innings, if your ERA is 2.11, it certainly says that you're keeping the ball in the park. So I would think a first 5 innings under would be appropriate for this game. If you can get a 4.5, under 4.5 for the first 5, I think that's good. The first 5 team total for Seattle is 2.5, and I'm a little tempted to take that. You have to juggle whether Martin's sample size against the Mariners is good enough to overcome his 4.7 road ERA, which is which. Seattle's bats are pretty cold though, so I might go with that Seattle team total first 5 under 2.5.
Yeah, Seattle has cooled a little bit at the plate, and we've kind of talked about it this season. They're definitely a team that is built more for the road than their home ballpark, just with the way that they are, they're very home run reliant. At least they have been, and I don't really think Gino and Naylor changed that. I still think it's a team that's very much just, waiting for that, that big blast to generate offense. I'm with Bryan. Davis Martin's not the guy that I want to back in this rotation. So for me, this was I know you got people are like, oh, he's going to 100% come on here, say White Sox 1.5. Well, I'm not going to tell you to lay $2 with the Mariners. That's for certain. But when I look at this series, a 3-game set, this would probably be the least, like the worst of the 3 spots for me. So if I look at this series, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I see like the White Sox plus 1.5 is likely going to be playable all 3 days. It's probably going to be right in this same range because you're looking at Wu, Kirby, Gilbert for the Mariners. So you've got to think they're likely a $2 favorite or more in every one of those games. This would be the least of the 3, my least favorite spot of the 3. So I'm probably not going to play this. I will likely hope for a Mariners convincing win. Maybe actually like a 2 or 3 run win where they use some bullpen, because I just think there's going to be better spots to play the White Sox later in the week. Go ahead, Bryan.
Tokyo mentioned the Mendoza line by mistake, I think. But do you guys know? You're a little bit younger, Trey. Do you know what the Mendoza line is and why it's called the Mendoza line?
The Mendoza line is 200 batting average, and it's called that because like a player named Mendoza was either a career 200 hitter, or he was like always at 200.
Mario Mendoza played in I believe it was the 70s for the Pirates. He is now he's now known for his bad hitting, and people don't even know what he's known for. But the reason why I point that out is the catcher for the Indians or the Guardians. He played yesterday, and it's a situation where he was mentioned at the game on the game because of his poor hitting, and he's been in the league for so long. And let me just get up here and look at the stats here. But it's Austin Hedges, and he's hitting like 134. And his career average is about 184, but yet he's playing in, I think, his 11th major league season. And they said this is the most seasons a player has ever played in the major leagues with a bad career batting average of below 200. And he's just a great defensive player, but he's a terrible hitter. And when Hedgehog gets a hit off of you, you need to be a little bit embarrassed.
That's a great story. Yeah, that's a really interesting. It's not something I've ever really thought about, but that is totally makes sense that it would be a good defensive catcher though, because that is like you take the 0 for 3 at the bottom of that order if you can have a guy that's really good defensive catcher that can handle the pitching staff, control the run game is far more valuable, in my opinion, than a couple of hits. So that's interesting stuff, Brian. Great stuff. Let's go to Gene. He says Giants minus 135 with Webb looks cheap. How did you guys like that Bristol series? I thought the Bristol series was a great idea. They just got screwed by the weather. I think if it was a nice night, it would have gone off without a hitch. It would have been a very fun sort of thing. I mean, it just, they kind of got screwed by the weather, but always good to see baseball get a showcase like that. Standalone, national TV, Fox, Saturday night. That was cool. As far as the game is concerned, Brian, Leonard, Giants, Pirates, this was a crazy one yesterday. Looked like the Giants were going to cruise to a win, and suddenly here come those Pittsburgh Pirates suddenly playing good ball in spite of what I consider to be leaving some of their better players down at AAA. Talked about it yesterday. So the Pirates get the walk-off. Do the Pirates bring that momentum into today? Do you like them again here?
I'll talk about the Raceway game. First off, I'm a heavyset guy. I like to eat. And there was a lot of people saying that they were serving hot dogs without the buns because they didn't order enough buns. They were selling nachos without cheese because they didn't have enough cheese. From what I could tell, it was a complete disaster. It was a good idea, but it was not well prepared for. They said it was the Fire. If you remember that concert thing.
Fire Fest, yeah.
Yeah, that of Major League Baseball. But Webb's going against Burrows here. Webb's looks a little bit cheap, but he has not been pitching well as of yet, or late, and he hasn't gotten a lot of run support. Burrows is a guy who's gotten better as the season goes on. They keep talking about bringing some other guys up from the minors, but Burrows has been one of their most consistent pitchers. He's done pretty well. Current line, Webb's about a 133 favorite and a total of 7.5 to the under. The under makes a lot of sense to me based on Webb's history and also what's been going on with Burrows. And I don't think either team is very good offensively. They every once in a while they surprise you and get 10 runs or so, but neither one really has been very good over the last month or so. Logan Webb, 3.31 ERA, 3.63 expected, 1.25 WHIP, yet he's only got a 9-8 record. In fact, the last 3 years, he's won 33 games and he's lost 31 games, and he's one of the top 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball. Just not getting any run support when he pitches. He's got some great numbers out there. I really like him, but you know what you're going to get out of him, and he's usually very consistent. And that's the one thing we like about Logan Webb. Going up against Mike Burrows here, and Burrows is starting to show some red on his StatCast page. He's only got 1 win on the season, 1 win last year. He's had 13 games this year, 12 starts, and he's got 1 win. He's very similar to Verlander, who, by the way, is pitching his best ball of the season. A really nice start from him yesterday. But Burrows, 3.88 ERA, expected 3.68. His WHIP is 1.26. He's a middling pitcher when you take a look at StatCast page. Very good off-speed run value, 92nd percentile. Doesn't get the chases at 17. Everything else is between 34 and 66 percentile. So he's basically your league average pitcher, but I like the way he's pitching more now. He's doing much better in that regard. Kind of like the under here. Don't think either team's going to have much offensive success. Let's take a look at the ballpark factors here. In Pittsburgh, the wind's blowing in a little bit. Home runs should be 24% less than normal. Runs about even. Yeah, I kind of like the under in this one.
Yeah, guys, do us a huge favor. Go to the replay here and leave us a comment, something positive or negative. Either way, all three of us check your comment.
Yeah. Tell me
I did. All three of us check your comments, and we do answer them as well. So give us a comment, give us a like, tell Wager Talk that you're enjoying the show, because in the live chat you're giving us tons of positive energy. So give us some of that on the replay as well. It helps Wager Talk understand that baseball is a wonderful sport and that our show is a wonderful show. So I said this in yesterday's show. I said cover the logos and bet the Pirates, and I'm going to say it again today, because honestly, the way these two teams are playing, if you cover the logos, the Pirates are leaps and bounds better than the Giants. They're hitting better. Their bullpen's playing better. And if Burrows can hold these guys down for a couple of innings, I think the Pirates are going to win this game. They might not. I haven't bet it, but Webb's numbers against the Pirates are unbelievable, though. I mean, they're really good. So I would not disagree with Bryan's under. He's got a 206 average against and a 513 OPS, which is almost 200 points below the 250 points below the 750 that I call. When I say Mendoza line, I mean above that is good and below that is bad. So anyways, so that's how I use the word. But anyways, I think that this will probably go under. And I also think that the Pirates have a very good chance of winning this. The thing about Webb, it's so weird, but in my starting pitcher rankings, I have Webb ranked number 18 out of 250 starting pitchers. But on my current form rankings, I have him ranked 15 out of 30 pitchers. So he's right in the middle. So which is it, right? He's obviously very talented and he's a great pitcher, but these Pirates are smashing the ball right now and Webb's on the road. I would be very careful taking the Giants and thinking it's an easy win.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I'd love to I wish I had more to share on this one. I can't fathom how the Pirates have won. The Pirates have won 10 of their last 13 games. They're 10-3. Mixed into that 10-3 is a 17-16 loss at Coors Field where they were up 9-0 in the first inning and lost the game. And they're doing it with what I truly don't believe is the optimal lineup in their organization. Like Olivier Peguero should not be in the starting lineup. Joey Bart at this point, like I get it, like the guy that came over from the Yankees is still young, but it's like it's just, it's like they've got Nick Solak down at AAA, Cam Devaney, who they traded Adam Frazier for, and he's had a great season at AAA, still down at AAA. So it's actually like a total, like it's mind-boggling, really, because the Pirates in a lot of ways feel like the Twins, where they're like doing the actions of like the front office are like, hey, we're kind of waving the white flag here, but they're winning games. And TB, you talked about Burrows. Yeah, he's not a terrible option. If he can get you through 4 or 5 innings, the Pirates are going to be in a very good position to compete here, like they've been the past couple weeks. So, going back to the original question, yeah, it looks cheap. But man, like I don't really want the Giants on the road right now, laying $1.35, $1.40. So I'm not going to like go to the other side and say, oh, like this is a home run spot for the Pirates. But like, I don't really want to bet against them. What's the run line there? Is it like cheap or no? What's plus 1.5? Out of curiosity, because I don't have it in front of me. Oh, never mind. That's that. So you know what? I think the Pirates may have taken a little money because I think that plus 1.5 was like minus 130, minus 135 before we got in the show. It's up to minus 145. Pirates are down to plus 120. I'm not betting the Giants here, and I don't love the Pirates, but I'm not betting the Giants. Let's go ahead, Bryan.
This is looking like a 3-2 kind of game.
Yeah, you're looking at your team totals at 3.5 for both. The Pirates, for some reason, are fixated on young catchers. They traded away their closer to the Yankees to bring back another catcher. They've already got like 3 guys that are catchers that they can't find at bats for, and they were supposed to be these great catchers, and they're not getting anything out of them. Maybe this is just a bad team toward developing catchers because they bring in these guys from the other teams and, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy. The Yankees develop them, and the Pittsburgh is the only team that cannot get success out of these catchers they trade for.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. I'm sure Pirates fans, they don't like how that team is run or managed and stuff. So it is some mind-boggling stuff going on there, and you're doing it all while you literally landed one of the best players of the last 2 decades. I mean, literally of the last decade.
He's generational.
Yeah, and it's been sort of a mind-boggling to watch. I want to
And
pull up a comment.
They won his last start for him too, by the way. So yeah,
I know. Nice of them to do that, huh? Like give him a little run
finally.
support for once. I'm gonna pull up. This is a great feedback from Aaron, and I just wanted to pull this comment up. And I'm also going to give my parlay leg out right now because it's a game we've already discussed. And while I'm talking for a second, think of a game that you want to talk about if you want to propose a game, because we've got about 10 minutes in the show left. He's talking about a bit of advice. I think he's referring to kind of looking ahead, evaluating the entire series, and pick your spots, but they don't explain it. So I'll just do it in the context of this Yankees Rangers series. And here's the thing for me. I know if I don't sort of look down the line a little bit, I know that if I lose, if I lose with a team, let's say I play the White Sox tonight. If I lose with them, I'm going to be very inclined to come back with them tomorrow in what I think is a better spot. So I do try to look out ahead and look at the series and try to figure out what the optimal spot is, because I have to be, I know if I'm a day early and I play it, that I'm pretty much committing to playing it the next day in most scenarios, right? Like now if something goes totally crazy where, I'll pass on it, but it's like my thought process is, well, if you played it under this set of circumstances and now the set of circumstances is better, how are you not going to make that same play the next day? So I'm trying to be very cognizant of that. It's part of the reason that I didn't want to play the Rangers last night. It's because there was a money move. The price got a little bit worse. And now suddenly I was like, do you really want Corbin here? Because I was looking ahead to today. The spot to do it, the spot to jump in would probably be with Eovaldi if you get the good price. Now, had yesterday played out differently, and let's say the Yankees ended up winning that close game, I'm probably on the Rangers here for a client play because maybe it's 10 cents cheaper, maybe it's 5 cents cheaper. Maybe the Rangers don't have to use the extra bullpen arm, so on and so forth. So that's what I'm talking about with I'll kind of look ahead, look at the series. And I'm glad that you thought that was helpful, because I just think that you should be sort of conscious of what you're getting yourself into early in a series. You might end up, playing all 3 games. So I appreciate that comment. And I just wanted to clarify what I was talking about there. And the reason I brought that up now is because I'm going to put that Rangers play in our parlay. So let's go Rangers money line for my parlay leg. What do we have there, Brian, for a money line there?
Texas currently, let's go 123.
Yeah, and that's the price. So the Yankees not in the least bit surprised they've taken money. They do all the time. But that is kind of what, I thought the price would have been had the Yankees won last night. And I'm not saying I'm ruling it out, but from a client play perspective, but at the very least, it's definitely my favorite thing of what we've talked about so far. So I'm going to go ahead and make that my parlay leg, because I still think it's a good spot for them, because the Yankees cannot get out of their own way right now. So Rangers will be the first leg of the parlay. Brian Leonard, do you have a game you want to talk about, or is it something we've already discussed?
Yeah, we discussed it. I also like the Rangers. I think that that has some value. I'm going to play that Pittsburgh game under 7.5. We're looking at minus 115. I think is about minus 115, 7.5 under 115 in the Pirates game.
We're going to win this parlay.
Well, we still need one from you. What do you got?
I think we all agree on because I agree with both of your plays, and I'm going to do a game that we haven't covered yet. Can I just bring it up and start talking about it?
Yeah, just tell us what the game is. We'll start with you. We'll go to Brian, and we'll do the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first then, and I'll just put my game out there. It's going to be the Tigers and the Twins. I'm going to go with the Tigers on the money line. Tigers have caught a wind after having a tough series against Philadelphia. Nothing like bringing your confidence back than playing a team that just traded away 40% of its roster. So Paddock gets a bad rap because he's wildly inconsistent and not that great. But if you actually look closer, his 1.24 whip is not terrible. And actually in his last 2 starts, he went 6 innings in each start and only gave up 1 earned run in each start. And that was against 2 power lineups, the Diamondbacks who are fading a little bit, but also the Dodgers. Before that, he had a 3-game stretch where he gave up 13 earned runs. So that's where he gets his stigma of being a terrible pitcher. But he's not that bad. My numbers have him and Zebby Matthews pretty much head to head. One thing about Zebby Matthews is he's got a 6+ ERA on the road. Granted, it's only 19 innings, but if you look at his game log, he's wildly inconsistent, but he generally doesn't go past 5 innings. So what we know is he's probably going to have a short outing here. He might hold the Tigers to 1 or 2 earned. He might even hold them to 0. But we know that he's not going to go 6, 7, 8 innings. We know that. This Minnesota bullpen is playing like garbage. So I'll take this Tigers lineup with 4 or 5 innings against this trash bullpen. And I think even if Paddock struggles, which I don't think he will today, actually, but even if he struggles, I think the Tigers can come back in the end. If they can keep it a 1-run game after 5 innings, I think the Tigers have every shot in the world to win this game. So I'll take the Tigers on the money line here.
Yeah, I'm seeing them at about a 141 right now, total of 8.5. I agree. The line's a little bit cheap. Money has come in on Minnesota for some reason. Zebby Matthews, very inconsistent. He is still yet to impress in the major leagues. He's been a very good minor league pitcher. But as much as I like him, his numbers in the majors are terrible. He's got a 6.21 ERA, 1.54 whip in 2 years. He has just not put it together at this level. And Paddock is going against the team he just played for. Minnesota just traded him away. I think that Detroit brought in 7 pitchers during the trade deadline. Minnesota trades away their 7th, 8th, and 9th inning relievers. If Paddock doesn't have a lead after 5, I really like Detroit in live betting in the second half of this game. If Minnesota somehow has a lead through 5 innings, I think we're going to get a great bet on Detroit because I really trust their bullpen, and I do not trust this Minnesota bullpen at all because they've got guys that are pitching long relief, guys from the minors coming up, taking over those key innings of 7, 8, and 9. And that's, to me, if that happens, Detroit in the second half of this game, live betting could be the best bet on the board today.
Yeah, so I did one of my solo videos, which is just we'll put free pick videos up on the Wager Talk YouTube channel throughout the day. And I did Twins Tigers yesterday. I actually shouted you out, TB, because I pointed out that you had about 40 to 50 cents of CLV from the show compared to what that play went off. Big reason for that was Simeon Woods Richardson being scratched with the illness and moved to Wednesday or whenever they're going to have him throw. But I did my video and kind of talked about, okay, this is now moved 40 cents. We didn't have a lineup yet. We didn't know who the starting pitcher was going to be yet. But I pointed out reasons to potentially at the new price, like Twins plus 1.5. And none of those things ever came to fruition because it goes back to, it's very similar to the Pirates. It's like the Twins have very much waved the white flag because not only have they traded away 11 of their guys, a lot of the guys that are what I consider to be the better players or the more exciting players, the more upside players are all at AAA. And so I was thinking, oh, okay, they're going to move Woods Richardson. Maybe they're going to, maybe they're going to put like Pearson Ole as a starter or like one of the guys that I'm excited about at AAA. No, they ran Travis Adams out there, who is actually not bad. And then the bullpen came in and right now the bullpen's just, it's a bunch of like B-level depth arms because Griffin Jack's no longer there. Yohan Duran, Brock Stewart, they're all gone. And so it's basically, it's all arms that you would normally consider depth arms in the bullpen. The Twins are going to, listen, they're going to go out, the 26 or however many guys are in that dugout are trying to win games. But for whatever reason, management is not for that team. If they were, they'd have Mick Abel in the starting rotation. They'd have Luke Keschel back up playing short. They'd probably have Miranda up. They'd probably have Peyton Ellis up. Like they would even maybe roll the dice and bring a couple of those guys from AA that have been knocking the cover off the ball and just got to AAA and had a great week. They would put them on the big league roster. but for whatever reason, they're content with just riding it out. And I think it's going to mean a lot of losses for this team. So, TB, I can't argue with you here. That's a cheap price for the Twins. Go ahead, Bryan.
We all agree.
Yeah, Varlin, they also traded away. So he was
Yep.
having a really good year. The reason the Twins are doing this is because they're looking to sell and they're looking to dump salary. They still have Ryan. He was supposed to be a Red Sox all the way through, and then Minnesota got so busy trading everybody else away, they ran out of time, or he'd have been gone. The Minnesota team right now is, if you're a veteran player on that team, you're wondering what the hell is going on right now. But that's the reason they're doing it. They're trying to sell, and which is good for Minnesota because their owner has been one of the cheapest owners in Major League Baseball. I hope they do. I've always liked the Twins because they outperform their metrics and they had a lot of success. I hope they get an owner there that'll spend some money.
Very quick point before Adam summarizes the parlay. Don't forget that these guys are human beings. And if I don't know the historical statistics, but if you look at pitchers who got cut or traded from a team and the first game they faced that team, I guarantee you they have really good stats because these guys are human and they don't like being disrespected. And anytime they have a chance to stick it to someone, they're going to do it. And so I know Paddock's not Tom Seaver, okay, but he's going to bring his A game today. His A game is a normal pitcher's B- game, maybe, but still, he's going to bring his stuff today.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't, it might not matter because that's
exactly.
just where we're at with these two teams. And I still think the Tigers might be making up for a little lost time. They had a really bad week out of the break, so I think you're starting to get a focused Tigers team that is like, hey, we got to make up for that stretch, losing like 10 of 11 or whatever we did. So the parlay is locked in. We've reached the end of the show. Still, even with the loss yesterday, still 6.4 units on these. If you've been playing along the whole season, that's $1 for every dollar. It's returned $6.40. And we're still trying to run that up, but we're happy to keep our heads afloat here. We do need to hit one. So hopefully it's today. We have 3 full game bets. We have Rangers money line, Tigers money line, and then Pirates Giants under 7.5. And I did, one of the viewers said, can you say whose pick is what? So let me read that again. It is, I'm on Rangers. So Rangers is my pick on the money line. Brian Leonard has Tokyo Brandon has Tigers money line. Brian Leonard, Pirates Giants under 7.5, plus 481 odds. So plus 481 on today's parlay. Hopefully it's a winner. Don't forget, it is $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. We will all have a play up at some point today for $5. Great special. You can get all 3 of our plays for less than the cost of one full priced one. If you choose to do that, mine may be KBO. I haven't decided yet because I'm running better there than in Major League Baseball right now, but we'll have that up at some point today. TB killed it yesterday with his big plays. So grab his 5%er, and Brian's got one as well. We'll see you guys in the morning. $5. Sorry.
And mine's a game we didn't discuss today. So
all right,
we'll give you something fresh.
Cool.
Awesome. Yep. $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. We'll see you guys in the morning for more Total Basis tomorrow, 9 a.m. Appreciate you for tuning in as always, and have a great day.